The Young and the Restless, Spoilers, Thursday, April 16th. Today in Genoa City, everything starts to shift in ways no one is fully prepared for. On the surface, things may look calm, but underneath, tensions are rising, secrets are forming, and dangerous decisions are being made that could change multiple lives at once. The focus begins with Jack Abbott, a man who is trying desperately to keep his life from falling apart. But the harder he tries to fix things, the more complicated everything becomes. Jack is currently in a very fragile emotional state. His marriage is already under pressure, and trust has been damaged in ways that are not easy to repair. Instead of stepping back and letting things cool down, Jack makes a choice that could easily backfire. He starts leaning on someone from his past, Nikki Newman. Now, this is not just a casual conversation or a friendly catch-up. There is emotional weight behind every interaction between Jack and Nikki. They share history, understanding, and a level of comfort that Jack is not getting anywhere else right now. But the problem is obvious. This is a dangerous line for Jack to walk. Nikki is connected to one of the most powerful and protective men in Genoa City, Victor Newman. And Victor has never been someone who tolerates old flames, especially when it involves his wife spending time with Jack Abbott. At the same time, Jack is also risking everything with Diane. Their relationship is already unstable, and one wrong move could push things past the point of recovery. Diane is not someone who ignores betrayal or emotional distance. If she senses that Jack is leaning too close to Nikki again, her reaction could be explosive. Still, Jack is not thinking in terms of long-term consequences right now. He is focused on survival, on emotional support, on finding someone who understands what he is going through. And in his mind, Nikki happens to be that person in this moment. But Genoa City never allows secrets or emotional boundaries to stay hidden for long. If Jack and Nikki continue down this path, even emotionally, it will not stay private for long. And when it comes out, the fallout could be immediate and severe. Diane could reach her breaking point, and Jack may find himself facing a crisis that he can no longer control. While that emotional storm is building on one side of the city, something much more dangerous is unfolding elsewhere. Over in Las Vegas, a completely different situation is escalating, one filled with pressure, manipulation, and high-stakes confrontation. Adam Newman is stepping into a situation that is already unstable, and instead of backing away, he is choosing to push forward. His target in this moment is Matt Clark, a man whose presence alone brings danger and unpredictability. Matt is not someone who responds calmly under pressure. He twists situations, creates confusion, and always tries to regain control, no matter how tight the situation becomes. And right now, he believes he still has the upper hand, especially when it comes to Nick Newman's fate. Earlier developments suggested something shocking about Nick, and Matt has been trying to use that information as leverage. Whether it is truth, manipulation, or a complete lie, one thing is clear: Nick's situation is being used as a weapon in a much larger game. But Adam is not willing to play by Matt's rules anymore. Instead of reacting emotionally, Adam starts to turn the tables. He begins to challenge Matt in ways that are calculated and deliberate. Every word Adam uses is meant to corner Matt further, forcing him to defend himself rather than control the conversation. This is where the dynamic begins to shift. Matt, who was previously trying to maintain dominance in the situation, starts to feel the pressure building. The more Adam pushes, the more cracks begin to show in Matt's story. What once sounded confident now begins to sound uncertain. And in Genoa City terms, uncertainty is dangerous. Because once someone like Matt starts slipping, it usually means the truth is close to being exposed. As Adam continues to apply pressure, the situation in Las Vegas becomes less about negotiation and more about survival. Someone is going to break first, and it is no longer clear that it will be Adam. Matt is cornered, but cornered people are often the most unpredictable. And while this intense confrontation is unfolding, another storyline is quietly building in the background, one filled with emotional stress and personal fear. Sally Spectre is dealing with something deeply personal, and unlike the other conflicts happening around her, this one is internal. It is not about business, power, or revenge. It is about uncertainty and fear regarding her own future. Sally is beginning to worry that she may be pregnant. This possibility brings a wave of emotions all at once. Anxiety, hope, fear, and confusion all collide as she tries to figure out what this could mean for her life moving forward. This is not unfamiliar territory for Sally. She has been through pregnancy-related heartbreak before, and those memories are still very fresh in her mind. The emotional scars from that experience make this current situation even more stressful. Now, instead of feeling excited or calm, Sally finds herself waiting in suspense, trying to prepare for news that could completely change her direction in life. She has not taken the test yet, or she is waiting for the results, and every passing moment feels heavier than the last. What makes this even more important is that Sally is not alone. Her close friend Audrey is by her side, offering support and emotional stability during this stressful time. But even with support, Sally's mind is racing with possibilities she cannot control. What if the result is positive? What if it is negative? And more importantly, what will she do next, no matter what the outcome is? That uncertainty hangs over her like a cloud, and viewers can expect this storyline to become one of the emotional centers of the episode. So as Genoa City moves through this episode, three major threads are beginning to take shape: Jack's risky emotional decision, Adam's high-pressure confrontation in Las Vegas, and Sally's life-changing uncertainty. Each storyline is separate, but all of them are building towards something bigger. And in true Young and the Restless fashion, nothing will stay hidden for long. As the emotional pressure continues building in Genoa City, the situation around Jack Abbott becomes even more complicated. What started as a moment of emotional support is now slowly turning into something that could threaten multiple relationships at once. Jack's decision to lean on Nikki Newman is not going unnoticed in the background of the story. Even if nothing openly dramatic has happened yet, the energy around them is shifting. The more time Jack spends seeking comfort and advice from Nikki, the more fragile his situation with Diane becomes. And Diane Abbott is not someone who ignores emotional distance. Diane has already been through enough when it comes to trust issues, insecurities, and past mistakes. So when she senses even the slightest emotional shift in Jack, it immediately raises concern. She doesn't need hard proof to feel that something is wrong, her instincts are already warning her. If Diane were to discover Jack leaning too heavily on Nikki, the reaction would not be quiet or forgiving. It would likely be explosive. Years of tension, pride, and emotional history would come rushing back all at once. And that's exactly what makes this situation so dangerous. Jack is not intentionally trying to hurt anyone. But in his current emotional state, he is making decisions based on comfort rather than consequence. And in Genoa City, that is often the first step toward disaster. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman herself is also caught in a complicated position. She has always had a long and layered history with Jack Abbott. There is mutual respect there, and at times, emotional understanding that goes beyond simple friendship. But Nikki is also Victor Newman's wife. And Victor is not a man who tolerates blurred emotional boundaries, especially when it comes to Jack Abbott. If Victor were to find out that Nikki is once again becoming Jack's emotional support system, it could reignite old tensions immediately. Victor's reaction would not be mild, it would be controlling, protective, and potentially confrontational. So now Nikki is unknowingly standing at the center of a situation that could spiral out of control from both sides. One wrong step from Jack, one misunderstood moment, or one unexpected discovery could set off a chain reaction involving Diane, Victor, and the entire Abbott-Newman dynamic. And while that tension continues to simmer in Genoa City, the situation in Las Vegas reaches a much sharper turning point. Adam Newman is no longer just questioning Matt Clark, he is actively pushing him into a corner where escape is becoming harder and harder. Matt Clark, however, is not someone who easily accepts defeat. Even when pressure builds, he tries to twist the narrative, regain control, or shift blame. He believes he still holds leverage, especially around Nick Newman's situation. But Adam is changing the game. Instead of reacting to Matt's intimidation tactics, Adam begins to dismantle them piece by piece. He challenges inconsistencies in Matt's story, forces him to repeat details, and applies psychological pressure that starts to wear him down. This is not a physical confrontation, it is a mental battle. And slowly, Matt begins to lose his grip. The confidence he had earlier starts to fade, replaced by hesitation and frustration. Every attempt he makes to regain control is met with resistance from Adam, who refuses to back down. What makes this even more intense is the uncertainty surrounding Nick Newman. His fate remains tied to this confrontation, and every second that passes without clarity increases the stakes. Matt knows this. Adam knows this. And that is exactly why neither of them can afford to lose. But in moments like these, the person who feels cornered is often the most dangerous. As Matt begins to realize that Adam is not backing off, the situation becomes less about manipulation and more about survival. He may be forced to make a decision he was not planning on making or reveal something he has been hiding. And that possibility changes everything. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, Sally Spectra continues to deal with her own emotional storm. The possibility of pregnancy is still hanging over her, and the waiting period is becoming almost unbearable. Sally is trying to stay calm, but her thoughts keep circling back to one question: what if everything is about to change? Her past experiences make this moment even heavier. She knows what it feels like to hope, to fear, and to lose. That emotional memory is making it harder for her to stay grounded in the present. Audra Charles remains by her side, offering support, reassurance, and emotional stability. But even with that support, Sally is clearly struggling with the uncertainty of it all. This is not just about a test result. It is about the direction of her entire life. And until she knows the truth, she remains stuck in a moment of emotional suspension, waiting for clarity that could either bring relief or completely shift her future. So as the episode moves forward, three major emotional arcs continue to unfold: Jack's dangerous emotional dependency, Adam's escalating psychological battle with Matt, and Sally's life-changing uncertainty. Each storyline is building pressure in its own way, and none of them are close to resolution yet. In Genoa City and beyond, everything is still in motion, and the real fallout is only just beginning. As tensions continue to rise across Genoa City and Las Vegas, the focus shifts toward the most dangerous and uncertain thread in this entire storyline: Nick Newman's fate. Everything surrounding Nick has been clouded in confusion, manipulation, and half-truths. Matt Clark has been using this situation as leverage, keeping those around him off balance by controlling what little information is known. But that control is beginning to slip. Adam Newman is no longer reacting emotionally, he is now operating with purpose. Every move he makes is aimed at breaking through Matt's defenses and forcing clarity about what really happened to Nick. Matt, on the other hand, is feeling the pressure tighten. What once felt like a situation he could manage is now turning into a trap closing in on him from all sides. The confidence he showed earlier is starting to fade, replaced by hesitation and defensive behavior. And that is never a good sign when someone is trying to maintain a lie. As Adam continues pressing, inconsistencies in Matt's story begin to stand out more clearly. The details don't line up the way they should. His explanations start to shift slightly each time he is challenged. That's when the situation begins to change direction. Because once doubt enters the equation, control is lost. At this point, Adam is not just trying to find out what happened to Nick, he is actively forcing Matt into a position where he must either reveal the truth or risk losing complete control of the situation. And in a high-stakes environment like this, that kind of pressure can lead to unpredictable outcomes. Matt is cornered, and cornered people rarely stay predictable for long. He may attempt one final move to regain power, whether through intimidation, manipulation, or a shocking revelation that changes everything. Whatever direction it takes, it is clear that this confrontation is approaching a breaking point. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, another emotional storm continues to quietly build. Jack Abbott's situation with Nicky Newman is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Even if no one has confronted them directly yet, the emotional weight of their connection is starting to feel heavier. And the biggest threat is still Diane Abbott. Diane is not blind to emotional shifts. She knows when something feels off, even before she has all the facts. And if she starts questioning Jack's behavior more deeply, things could escalate quickly. One misunderstanding, one wrong moment, or one accidental discovery could push her into a full emotional reaction. And that reaction would not be small. It would likely trigger one of the most intense personal conflicts Jack has faced in a long time. Nikki, meanwhile, is still caught in the middle of all this. She is trying to be supportive, but the situation she is involved in is becoming more and more complicated. With Victor Newman always in the background, the risk of discovery adds another layer of tension. Because if Victor even suspects that Nikki and Jack are becoming too emotionally close again, his reaction could shift the entire dynamic instantly. So now, what began as emotional comfort is slowly turning into a potential ticking time bomb. And while all of this builds, Sally Spectra is still waiting for answers that could redefine her future. The pregnancy test situation remains unresolved, but the emotional impact is already very real. Every passing moment increases her anxiety, as she prepares herself for either outcome. Sally has been through emotional highs and lows before, but this moment feels different. More personal. More fragile. More uncertain. Audra Charles continues to stand by her side, offering reassurance, but even she cannot remove the weight of what Sally is facing. This is something Sally must confront on her own terms. And until the results are known, everything remains suspended in uncertainty. If the test is positive, Sally's life could take a completely new direction. If it is negative, she may still have to deal with the emotional aftermath of fear and expectation. Either way, nothing will stay the same. So as this episode builds toward its conclusion, three major storylines remain locked in motion. Adam pushing Matt to the edge in Las Vegas. Jack risking emotional fallout with Nikki and Diane. Sally waiting for a life-changing result. Each one is tightening like a knot, and in true The Young and the Restless fashion, that knot is about to pull even tighter. Because in Genoa City, the truth never stays hidden for long. As the pressure keeps building in every corner of the story, it becomes clearer that none of these situations are staying contained for much longer. What's happening in Genoa City, and even in Las Vegas, is starting to move toward consequences that will be difficult to reverse. The most immediate concern is still the situation involving Jack Abbott, Nikki Newman, and Diane Abbott. At this stage, Jack is still trying to hold everything together emotionally. But the more he leans on Nikki for support, the more unstable his home life becomes. Even if Jack believes he is simply seeking understanding, the emotional line he is walking is becoming harder to justify. Diane, meanwhile, is getting closer to sensing that something is off. She doesn't need a full confession to feel it. She notices tone shifts, emotional distance, and subtle changes in behavior. And right now, those small signs are beginning to add up. If Diane confronts Jack, it won't be a calm conversation. It will be emotional, direct, and possibly explosive. Years of trust issues and unresolved tension would all come rushing back in a single moment. And that could push their relationship into a breaking point. On the other side of this triangle, Nikki is also at risk of being pulled into a situation she never fully intended. Her connection with Jack is complicated by history, emotion, and timing, but in Genoa City, perception matters more than intention. If Victor Newman even begins to suspect that Nikki is emotionally entangled in Jack's personal life again, things could escalate quickly. Victor is protective, territorial, and highly reactive when it comes to Jack Abbott. And his reaction wouldn't just affect Nikki, it could impact multiple relationships and alliances at once. So now, what started as emotional support is sitting on the edge of becoming a full-blown Newman-Abbott crisis. And while that storm is brewing, the situation in Las Vegas reaches its most intense stage yet. Adam Newman has successfully forced Matt Clark into a position where his story is no longer stable. Every attempt Matt makes to control the narrative is being challenged, questioned, and broken down. At this point, Adam is no longer just trying to gather information, he is actively dismantling Matt's confidence. Matt, who once tried to dominate the situation, is now reacting instead of controlling. That shift is critical. It means Adam is getting closer to the truth, whether Matt wants it or not. But cornered individuals are unpredictable. And Matt Clark has never been known for backing down quietly. There is a strong sense that he may attempt something drastic, either a final manipulation tactic or a shocking reveal that completely changes the direction of the story. Whatever happens next, it is clear that the confrontation is no longer stable. Nick Newman's situation still hangs in the balance, and the uncertainty surrounding him continues to raise the stakes for everyone involved. The closer Adam gets to the truth, the more dangerous the situation becomes, not just for Matt, but for everyone connected to the outcome. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, Sally Spectra is still waiting in emotional suspense. Her possible pregnancy remains the quiet but powerful emotional center of her storyline. Even without a confirmed result, the weight of uncertainty is already affecting her mindset and decisions. Sally is trying to stay composed, but internally, she is preparing herself for both outcomes. The fear of disappointment and the hope for a new beginning are both present at the same time. Audra Charles continues to provide support, but even she cannot remove the emotional pressure Sally is under. This is a deeply personal moment, and Sally is the one who must face it directly. No matter what the result is, her life is about to shift in some direction, either emotionally, physically, or both. So as this part of the story unfolds, everything is now fully in motion. Jack is dangerously close to emotional exposure with Nikki and Diane. Adam is pushing Matt to the edge of collapse in Las Vegas. Sally is standing on the edge of life-changing news. Each storyline is tightening, each character is being pushed further, and each situation is approaching a point of no return. And in true The Young and the Restless fashion, once the truth starts coming out, it never stops. As everything comes to a head, the tension that has been building across Genoa City and Las Vegas finally reaches a breaking point. Secrets, emotional decisions, and high-stakes confrontations all start colliding in ways that cannot be ignored anymore. The biggest and most dangerous threat remains the situation involving Nick Newman. After all the pressure, manipulation, and back and forth between Adam Newman and Matt Clark, the truth surrounding Nick is closer than ever to coming out. Matt's control over the narrative is no longer solid. The cracks in his story have grown too wide to hide. Adam has pushed him to the edge, mentally and emotionally. Now Matt is in a position where he has no easy way out. Every direction he turns leads to more pressure. Every attempt to maintain control only makes him look more unstable. And at this point, one thing becomes clear: Matt is either going to confess, collapse under pressure, or make a desperate move that could change everything in an instant. Whatever he chooses, it will not stay contained. Because once the truth about Nick begins to surface, the fallout will extend far beyond Las Vegas. It will ripple straight back into Genoa City, affecting family, trust, and long-standing rivalries. Adam, on the other hand, is standing at a critical moment. If he succeeds in exposing Matt completely, it could change his position within his family dynamics and potentially shift how others view him. But if things go wrong, the consequences could also backfire in unexpected ways. Either way, nothing will remain the same after this confrontation ends. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, Jack Abbott's situation reaches its own emotional breaking point. The tension between Jack, Nikki Newman, and Diane Abbott can no longer remain hidden in the background. Subtle emotional shifts have now grown into visible instability in Jack's personal life. Diane is no longer just sensing something is wrong, she is on the verge of confronting it directly. And when that confrontation happens, it is expected to be intense, emotional, and possibly explosive. Years of insecurity, mistrust, and unresolved emotional tension could all surface at once. Jack, caught between trying to do what he thinks is right and avoiding further damage, may find himself unable to explain or fix what has already started unraveling. Nikki, too, is caught in the middle of a situation that is becoming increasingly difficult to justify. Even if her intentions are purely supportive, the appearance of emotional closeness to Jack creates risk. And if Victor Newman enters the picture in response, the situation could escalate instantly into a full Newman-Abbott confrontation. So by this point, Jack is no longer just dealing with personal stress, he is standing at the center of a potential emotional war. And while those storms build, Sally Spectra faces her most personal moment yet. Her pregnancy test results are finally looming, and the emotional weight of that uncertainty reaches its peak. Every thought, every fear, and every hope converges into this single moment. Sally knows her life could change in an instant. If the result is positive, she is looking at a completely new future, one filled with responsibility, emotional complexity, and life-altering decisions. If it is negative, she still has to process the emotional impact of everything she has been feeling and fearing. There is no easy outcome. Audra Charles remains by her side, offering support, but this is ultimately Sally's moment to face alone. No one else can decide what comes next for her. So as this final part unfolds, everything reaches its peak at once. Matt Clark is cornered with no clear escape. Adam is seconds away from exposing the full truth about Nick. Jack is on the edge of emotional confrontation with Diane and Nikki. Sally is moments away from life-changing news. Each storyline is now fully charged, and all of them are moving toward consequences that cannot be reversed. In Genoa City, nothing stays secret forever, and when the truth finally breaks free, it changes everything in its path.